Kongso had a sister called Devaki. She was as pure as he was depraved. In her previous birth, she had to perform many austerities to get the Lord as her son. This was her last birth, and for the third time, she was to carry the Lord as her son in her womb. Vasudeva was also a noble soul who belonged to the Yadavas clan. After their marriage, Kongso lifted them into a chariot and he himself became a charioteer to show the extent of his love for his sister. And his sister was also supremely content. She was marrying the man of her own choice. What more could she want? But her happiness was to be short lived, as all human happiness is. The minds of the wicked ones are unpredictable. They do not know the meaning of true love. They can love only as long as it benefits them. They are incapable of a love that transcends the self. As the procession set out, the sky became overcast. The thunder rumbled, the lightning flashed, and Kongso heard a mighty voice saying, "O Kongso, beware! The eighth son of Devaki will kill you." In a trice, the sky became clear and the sun appeared. Kongso jumped down from the chariot and pulled her down to the ground beside him. Drawing a sword from its scabbard, he lifted it aloft to bring it down on her neck. At that moment, Vasudeva sprang down between them and caught hold of Kongso's hand and said, "Oh, my dear brother-in-law, why are you going to kill your sister? It is not your sister who will kill you. Rather, her eighth child will kill you. And I promise you, I will bring each child of ours to you, and you will do whatever you like." After hearing these words from Vasudeva, Kongso lowered his arm and loosened her hair and said, "Go, take her with you. I can no longer bear to look at her face." Vasudeva escorted his bride to his own palace. Within a year, Devaki gave birth to a lovely boy, and Vasudeva hurried with the child to Kongso's palace. And impressed by Vasudeva's adherence to truth, Kongso said, "Let the child be taken back. He poses no threat to me. Go and give the child to my sister," and said, "I am not as cruel as she thinks." Vasudeva left the palace with the child. Thus 6 years passed by, and each year saw the birth of another lovely boy to the couple, and Vasudeva would faithfully take each child to Kongso, and Kongso would return it as a gift. Thus, the couple should have been blissfully happy. They had 6 lovely children. At that moment, Narada went to the court of Kongso and reminded him, saying, "Have you forgotten the prophecy at the time of Devaki's marriage, that you have allowed 6 of her children to slip from your grasp?" The king became angry and said, "Why not? It is from the 8th son of Devaki I am destined to die. It is not the first or the 5th. Narada smiled and said, "Poor Kongso, don't make mistake by underestimating your enemy. He is Lord Vishnu, the master magician, who can delude the entire world into believing anything. He can make 8 into 1 and 1 into 8. If you count from top downward, the last one is 8. And if you count from down upward, what happens? The first one is 8. And if you place them in a circle, then each of them can be the 8th. Anyway, I am here to warn you, as I am the true well-wisher of this world." After saying this, Narada disappeared. Kongso immediately summoned all his evil counselors and started a campaign of suppression of the Jadavas clan with the backing of his father-in-law Jarasandha. A campaign of terror followed, in which he mercilessly murdered all of those whom he suspected of being Devas. Kongso's father, Ugrasena, warned him the consequence of his atrocious deeds. Kongso did not utter a single word against him, rather imprisoned him. Then he killed all the 6 children of Devaki and Vasudeva before their horrified eyes. But one thought alone can sustain them. That is, they are still alive and they are capable of bearing children. But that last ray of hope also came to an end when Kangsha decided to imprison them. He placed them in a dungeon with the guards on duty day and night. Soon Devaki conceived for the 7th time. The earth was groaning under the weight of Kangsha's iniquities. So it is said that Lord Vishnu decided that he could no longer wait for another year before incarnating himself. So he summoned his Jogomaya or Shakti. O Devi, go to Brojo, to the house of Nanda where Rohini has taken shelter. My spiritual power, that is Sesa, has already entered into the womb of Devaki. Transplant the fetus from Devaki's womb to Rohini's. Then I shall incarnate myself in Devaki's womb and you will be born as Jashoda's daughter. Devi accomplished all that she was expected to do. The news that Devaki's pregnancy had been aborted reached the ear of Kangsha, and Kangsha hurried to the prison to check it. And he asked his sister, "Is it true that you conceived for the 7th time?" Devaki replied, "Yes." "Then what happened to that child?" Devaki said, "I do not know." Actually, she did not know. For who knows the way of God? A few days ago, she had been pregnant, but suddenly she felt her womb to be empty. Kangsha ruminated for a while. Trick or no, this would be the 8th child of Devaki. So he decided to prevent the couple from conceiving at all. So he ordered his counselors to bring heavy chains. And then with his own hands he bound Devaki to one pillar and Vasudeva to another pillar, thus shutting out the last ray of hope. And then he left the prison. At that moment, the Supreme Lord entered into the mind of Vasudeva and he started to sign. And this came into the notice of Devaki. And she asked her husband, "Why are you looking so happy, my dear husband?" Vasudeva said, "There is a form shining within my heart, my beloved." Devaki requested him to describe the vision in detail. Vasudeva transmitted to his wife through the medium of mind that world-redeeming aspect of supreme vision. She received the transmission and then she conceived the Lord mentally through her husband. When the jailer opened the door, he saw the cell bathed in divine radiance and Devaki transformed and shining, as if within her there was a living fire, a fire that would consume all the evils in the world. Hurriedly, he closed the door and rushed to the Kangsha's palace to inform him the news that something strange had happened to Devaki. Kangsha rushed to the dungeon, and as he opened the door, his eyes were dazzled. He started believing that the Lord Hori or Vishnu must be within her. He has never seen her before with such divine luster. But what shall he do now? If he kills her outright, then everybody will condemn him. So it is better for him to wait for the child to be born, then he will kill him. So Kangsha ordered all his counselors to double the guards and strengthen the chain and not to allow anyone to enter the dungeon. All his instructions were carried out faithfully. But neither Vasudeva nor Devaki did care what was happening around them. As the child within her womb grew bigger, Devaki's joy knew no bounds. The time was approaching midnight. All the birds woke up and started crooning softly. Both the sun and the moon peeped out with their full complement of stars. The special junction of the eighth day moon heralded the birth of Lord. Realizing the child to be Lord Vishnu, Vasudeva prostrated himself and started singing a hymn of praise. Looking at his father, the child said, "Arise now and go to Gokula, to the house of Nanda, where Nanda's wife Jasoda has given birth to a baby girl. Leave me there and bring her back again." After saying this, Lord turned himself into a newborn infant. Vasudeva had forgotten to ask how a prisoner could walk out of the prison at midnight and go to Gokula. But as he rose up, to his amazement, he found himself free. Vasudeva picked up the basket where the child was lying and he placed it on his head. As he walked towards the prison door, the locks fell off and he walked out. Vasudeva was unmindful of the rain. He was not even aware that a seven-headed serpent had opened its hoods over the basket like an umbrella and thereby protecting the child. Vasudeva started walking towards the river front. Jamuna was swelling with water. No one would dare to cross the river, but as Vasudeva took a step forward, the river parted, making a path to cross the river. Vasudeva reached the opposite bank of the river. He started walking towards Gokula, towards the house of Nanda. As he neared the house, he found the door open. He entered the house and found Jasoda sleeping, and a baby girl, that is Jogomaya, was lying beside her. Vasudeva placed his boy beside her and picked up the baby girl in his basket and left Nanda's house. As he approached the Jamuna river, the river parted again, making a path to cross over the river. Vasudeva crossed the river and reached the dungeon in the city of Mathura and placed the baby girl on the lap of Devaki, and then he found himself once again in chain. Had he put the child on the lap of Devaki, then the child started crying at the top of her voice. The guards woke up and ran towards the palace of Kamsa with the news of Devaki's delivery. As soon as Kamsa heard the news, he rushed to the dungeon with a sword in his hand. But as soon as he opened the door, he found a baby girl lying on the lap of Devaki. Devaki requested him to spare the girl because in the prophecy it was mentioned that a boy would kill Kamsa. But Kamsa snatched the baby girl from her bosom and swung her around to dash her down on a rock. But as soon as he picked it aloft, the baby slipped from his grasp and flew into the air and started saying, "O Kamsa, your killer has already been born. But today I spare you because you touched my feet, and I bless you with the death at the hand of Vishnu." At daybreak, Kamsa sent for all his evil counselors, who advised him to kill all the babies and the virtuous people in the districts. Being thus advised by his evil ministers, he sunk himself in the infernal crime of infanticide and harassment of the virtuous.